Good evening and welcome to the Kim B. Davis Show. You are watching a special segment of the Kim B. Davis Show. I am your host, Kim B. Davis, and today I am on with Kelly Greene, our mental health advocate. He is an author, philosopher, blogger, and mental health advocate, and we're talking about the disturbing story that we saw in Aurora, Colorado, where a family was detained because the police in Aurora, Colorado, believed that the vehicle that they were in had been stolen. If you haven't seen the video, I urge you to search for it. It is disturbing. There are babies on the ground. They are screaming and crying, and the police are just standing there with guns drawn. And there were like 4 police officers that I saw in the video. I did not see the mother, but I understand that she was taken away and placed in another vehicle where she produced the paperwork for the vehicle. But what it seems like to me is that these children were traumatized. What are your thoughts, Kelly? And give us some words to walk through in terms of mental wellness in this time of national unrest.
Let's kind of deal with the elephant in the room.
Okay.
When dealing with racism, you're going to deal with a huge amount of anger. There's anger I feel personally when I saw the images online. There's also rage that I feel when dealing with racism.
Mhm.
Not about myself, going back generations. But the thing about it is how we handle that rage is going to carry us through these times. Uh, we have to be conscious of not overreacting. Also, we had to be vigilant going forward. So, with that being said, the family was so wrongly treated in such a I don't know, because I can't, as a father myself, I can imagine seeing my family
Mhm.
and given the George Floyd situation, my whole family's down there to be killed anytime, and who would say what in Colorado?
Absolutely.
And we're not talking about Denver, where there's a great, large black population. We're talking about Aurora is like outskirts.
Mhm.
Aurora, Colorado is predominantly white, upscale. So they during winter they talk, skiing and whatnot. So yeah, they're used to uh, us not being around, or they used to like discriminating us at will. That's just how they do it in proper, white areas. Um, and it's troubling to see that post George Floyd, because if I'm stealing something, why am I taking my family to steal something?
I asked that same question.
And it just doesn't make sense.
Right.
Like they pull up somewhere, like the whole family jumped in and stole his car at the same time. Kids, everybody in on it.
Mhm. A
That's
6-year
illogical.
a
Yeah,
6-year was the youngest.
yeah, that's illogical.
Mhm.
I don't care how. I mean, this is not even the Bundy. This is not a sitcom. Sitcom that might be somewhat plausible, but this would never happen to a white family in Aurora, Colorado. Never would it.
Absolutely. Mhm. Mhm.
They would look at the paperwork and get sort of okay, honest mistake. At the very least, even if maybe okay, fine, you go to the truck, you say, hey, okay, we see paperwork and discuss it. But you look and you see kids, why are you talking about a stolen vehicle that could have been stolen within minutes or whatever, and the whole family sitting there chilling?
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, I'm not joyriding and taking my family around the city in a stolen car.
Exactly.
What
Exactly.
sense does that make? So basically, these cops got their jollies off, pulling out a black family, holding them to the ground, and calling the justice. Say, hey, we're doing our job. That's not your job.
Not at all.
That's not it.
Um, you know, and it's funny because that was the first thing I thought. I said, okay, so you pulled up on a car or a SUV that had been reported stolen, but the woman informs you that when you approach her that she got it back. These this family was parked. As you said, they were not joyriding. They were parked in a parking lot because the mother had taken the girls, I believe the oldest ones, to go and get their nails done. So she had taken them out for an average, ordinary activity that thousands of people across the country, mothers and daughters, do every day, and nothing ever happens. And I'm looking at these babies who are screaming, I want my mommy. And I have two sons, and it broke my heart. And, you know, you scream at the TV, it doesn't do anything. But then what enraged me even more was that the police officers were trying to act as if, okay, just calm down. I can't calm down. You are pointing a gun at me, and I have seen people murdered on television. And no matter what we say that we need to keep our kids away from it, it's everywhere. We've seen it. We talk about it. You're right. It is rage.
Yeah.
There's not another way to describe it.
And think about it, I don't like my son, and sometimes even the younger kids run. I let them see the videos, not just the shit. I said this is where we are in our society right now. Here's the education here, and this is how I deal with rage. I deal with through my rage with teaching. My best weapon is what I know. What I know, if I teach what I know to the next kid, they can add their piece to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we have to do. We have to educate our people and be vigilant at the same time. We have to have these demonstrations. We have to have these votes like today. We have to have real conversations. And I think that Black Lives Matters movement is great. Our NAACP needs to step up. And I love LeBron and Kaepernick and all those guys. No, we have to keep fueling that energy. We had to fuel it in the polls. We had to fuel it and keep it going. Right now is a tipping point. If we don't push through now, we're going to lose 40 years of progress.
Mm-hmm.
We can't do it. We can't fold now.
Absolutely. We cannot fold now. You know, you're right. So many different things that we have taken for granted in terms of voting, in terms of being able to go to school wherever we wanted to. And these things haven't necessarily been rolled back. But when we get national reports of a student that is being harassed at an Ivy League school or another institution of higher learning because they're told that they don't belong there because someone called the police on them, and they have to prove that they do belong there, and then come to find out that the person who actually reported them has less of a GPA than the person that they're reporting on. It boggles your mind.
But Trump has let it be okay. Trump has endorsed all this. So we had to look at what happened during the Obama years is Black people come to grips with, yeah, we can have a piece of America. We can do things. We can actually have some hope. Trump was brought in to kill that hope.
Mm-hmm.
This is part of killing our hope. And we just cannot yield now. We cannot, we came too far. We're not let them beat our hope down. We're not let them cut our hope. We're going to hold on to it. And we're going to show it in their face whenever possible. Like I hope they do with a lawsuit.
You know what, and they probably will do a lawsuit. I did see the I believe it's the assistant chief of police or the chief of police from Aurora. She gave a statement and said, you know, we are so sorry. This was a huge mistake. I specifically want to go out and talk to the kids because I don't want them to be traumatized. And I just thought, you know, that sounds all nice, but just like you said, if this were a white family, this would not have happened. It would not have happened. There was a video, and I'm pretty sure it was from Colorado. I don't know if you saw it. It was months ago, but there was a family, a Black family. They were pulling out of some store, and this white lady who had no teeth, who looked like, and I'm not being funny, she looked like she was a drug addict.
Oh, I think I've seen that video. She's
yes,
coughing.
yes,
Yeah.
and she was trying to say that was her car, and whatever it was an expensive car. And so this other white guy came up and told the Black people in the car, well, you have to get out. This is her car. He said, it's not her car. This is my car. And all of a sudden, you had all these white men, and you had one on a motorcycle who tried to corral this car. They were calling the police, trying to open a door. You hear the kids in the car terrified. The daughter's in the front seat screaming, and her daddy is like, "Be calm, be calm." And I can only applaud him because he did what every Black man in America has to do. He was strong for his family in the face of fear. And then because they started hitting the car, he took off and was on the line with the police. And they said, "Well, did you take off?" He said, "Yes. And I'm traveling down such and such. These people are trying to hurt us." And I thought, okay, so where are the police at this point?
Right, right. And that thing about it, again, that's Trump, that's Republicans, racist. Being a racist is okay. This is what they wanted. And we have to find these like small pockets of our people that are surrounded, in rural areas. We got to find some kind of way to protect them also, because it looks like the police are not going to do it. So we got to make sure. And if if you're a Black person living in a predominant white area, talk to your people, get some kind of system going where,
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say it, but check in with people, man. Just do that. Uh, Facebook, drop people a message, "Hey, all right," or this doing. If you pull over or something going on, video camera, video take. That's camera phones for. Use it.
And thankfully, the woman, it was a white woman who recorded the incident with the family in the parking lot where all the police were. And she just said something told her to pull her phone out and to record. And when you listen to the video, you hear it. And she said, "They have drawn guns on those babies." And, this is a little bit unrelated, but it's something that or I shouldn't say all, but a lot of Black children have to go through. My sons and my husband and I went out to eat for the first time in months, and we were at a restaurant, and we were fussing at the boys about getting off of their phones. And so the waitress was like, "Oh, I have teenagers. Mine do the same." I said, "Well, ours aren't teenagers. They're both under the age of 12." I said, "That one is a preteen." I said, "But the other one is much younger." And, I'm sure she looked at me and thought I meant no harm. But the reality is, you have assumed that my children, because they are tall and bigger, that makes them older than what they are, which makes them a threat, which puts them in danger.
Yeah, we are a society that's going off assumptions. We don't want to think anymore. We want to assume, and so a lot of what go on, people going off assumption.
Hmm.
And the thing about, we are too intelligent of people to keep going off assumption. There's too much information. Too much, doesn't take that much thinking, to figure something out. Have a conversation with people. It's that simple. But again, we had Donald Trump, we had the Republicans, there have all these people really who wants strict racism. But the thing about it, I fear that our younger people who just aren't going to take it, and it's going to be that bubbling up, is that we understand, try to keep down. We have to be thinkers for our irrational people.
And we've seen it in protests and unrest across this nation. We have seen it, and we've seen cross ethnic groups where we've seen all different types of people coming together, all in support of Black Lives Matter. We saw it around the world. I don't know about you, but the global site was a beautiful thing because I thought,
Yeah, it
wow,
was. Yeah, it was. I saw it.
do these
I
people,
tried it.
like, you're in Germany. Do you understand what it's like to be a young Black male on the east side of Detroit? It doesn't matter. You have an expectation for the same right as
Right.
anyone
Yes.
else. However, because we've been so conditioned to know that we have to interact in different ways than other people, it's almost become a norm for us.
Well, I think what's happening is, the world really didn't understand the racism that's going on in America. Like, we've talked about it, and we talked about it. We took our message overseas and everything, but until that George Floyd's murder, they saw it in real time, and
Mhm.
and they're like, "Oh, we get it now." And so I think that's really kudos to all those countries that's kind of stood up and said, "Hey, you know what? We feel you on this."
Absolutely. In Aurora, Colorado may actually have police issue. I don't know, but they also have another case. There's Elijah McClain, the young man who played violin, who I believe he was autistic. He had some type of a physical condition where he was very sensitive to temperature, specifically to cold, I believe, or extreme changes in temperature. And because he had on I guess like a ski mask sort of cap, something that covered his head and it went down to his neck. When the police saw him, they thought he was up to no good. Of course, pulled him over. He asked them to back up to respect his space, because a lot of autistic people, they
Yeah.
don't like to be touched, or it unnerves them. And instead of them, and I don't know what the answer is, but instead of them dealing with the situation better, they ended up injecting him with ketamine and he ended up dying. So when I saw this today, that immediately made me think of that. And I thought, thank goodness that woman was there and she could videotape it, because we're dealing with body cam footage for Elijah McClain. And I don't believe we've had a video for him.
What we talked? No, we talked about Aurora, Colorado. It is not isolated. These are national events. So those that we know about, we have to like really hit them hard, and really get the focus and the spotlight on these national things that they come out, so that when we go to the local issues, we like, this is the research. This is what we're going on right now locally, nationally. And so we go to polls and we vote for these people. Like, look, what are you going to do about this? They can't, especially like election time. We're voting right now. We had to go to elected officials, say, okay, all that what you said was well and good, but this is a real issue right here and now.
Mm-hmm.
You want our vote, you got to do something about this right here and now. We need like legislation, what put on the record.
Exactly. And hold people accountable. When legislators, or should I say candidates, before they get elected to office, when they're running and you're at a campaign meeting or at a town hall or whatever it is, and you see that person, they say, I promise you, I'm going to fix our police department. Because we've had some people locally here who said they're going to fix the justice system. And I've
Yeah.
listened to them, and I think they are very well intentioned. However, I think it's a much bigger problem, meaning that it's a national problem, and so we have to attack it from several different vantage points. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean that they can't do it. But what happens when people say, well, I'm going to fix it, and then they get in office, they're in office for a year, you don't see any change, you don't see anything different, and then you feel like, okay, they lied to me.
Well, I think that a lot of that is just their lack of commitment. Because you can get into an office and say, hey, I'm going to do this, this, and this. But once you get there, that shit is real comfortable. People paying your back gets real comfortable. Selfies with dignitary get real comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And so your comfortability rose and your accountability fell. That's the problem we have to deal with right there. So we have all these, like, I can tell you, I had an issue with a politician here, but they say all the good things and then they look for that pat on the back. But when the pat on the backs aren't there, they say, well, I'm not going to do this, or they're really in it for themselves and not for the people. And those projects who get in for the people, they always get shouted down or they get labeled real quick. Then, we got to find those who are really for us, get them in there and help them fight through the labels. Let them do the work for us that they're in there for.
Absolutely, absolutely. And don't lose hope, as you said.
Absolutely. We will not lose hope.
We're going to just continue to move forward. Thank you so much, Kelly Greene, for joining us on this special segment of the Kim B. Davis Show. Tell us again where we can find you and how to reach you.
You can find me on Twitter at Kelly G Live 72, on Instagram at Kelly G Live, my Facebook page. Also, I have Black Notebook Projects as a Facebook page, and My blog is soulfulpages.com. Just follow me there, soulfulpages.com.
Thank you, Kelly Greene, for joining us on this very special segment on the Kim B. Davis Show and discussing this very disturbing case that we saw in Aurora, Colorado. Of course, we will be paying very close attention and following it to see where this actually leads, because as you said, this is part of a bigger picture that is happening nationally. We have to continue to move forward, and we absolutely cannot afford to lose hope.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you again for watching the Kim B. Davis Show. I hope you will tune in for our next episode. And remember, always be magnificent.